Hey everybody, this is Sheriff Tim Carter from Shenandoah County, and today I have three special guests with me. I'm down here at the Virginia Sheriff's Institute Conference, and with me I have Sheriff Steve Draper from the city of Martinsville. Hey Sheriff, how you doing today?
Good morning.
I have Sheriff Arthur Townsend from Lunenburg County. Arthur, thanks for stopping by.
Hello.
And I have Sheriff Lenny Millholland from Frederick County, adjoining county, and we've already done one podcast, but Lenny was here today, and I appreciate you stopping by, Lenny.
Thanks a lot, Sheriff.
Guys, one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to hear from sheriffs around the Commonwealth and just hear about what's going on in your world. And I'm glad you're stopping by, but I guess we'll start with you, Sheriff Draper. What do you think is the most important thing happening in your county right now?
Well,
or your city?
It is a city. Yes, I'm city of Martinsville. Big things, Sheriff. We're looking at the possibility of, not the possibility, but probably the reality of reverting from a town to from a city to a town.
Okay.
Into Henry County. We are completely surrounded by Henry County.
Right. And
both localities have signed a MOU that we will be reverting over the next year or so to a county, to a town, which will eliminate my position, eliminate the positions of the constitutional officers. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the schools will consolidate and write much more. But the one that I'm concerned about is trying to consolidate the jails with Henry County jails. Right. So Sheriff Perry and I have been working together, and we've known about this for a couple of years. We've discussed it. We knew what was coming, so he's got a new facility being built, jail facility, and we're trying to work. That's the hardest thing that's going with us right now, is working together, trying to incorporate these two sheriff's offices.
Right, and I'll tell you a little known fact, I think, with Sheriff Draper here. Sheriff, you're the more senior sheriff on the Virginia Sheriff's
Thank you, Sheriff. Instead of saying the oldest I am, the senior. That's two. Somebody said I'm number one sheriff. No, there's some wonderful sheriffs in this state, and I'm not the number one sheriff. I am the most senior. I hope I'm not the oldest, but I may even be the oldest. But, it's never thought I'd get there. It's been 28 years, and it just feels, I told somebody a few minutes ago, it feels like it's been 5 years. I started 121, and now I got that number one tag.
Well, I tell you, when I first got elected, I've known you since I first got elected, and you've been a help to me, and I appreciate. I know you've been a help to the association and all the work that we're doing around the state, and we do appreciate that longevity. It brings a lot to the table.
Well, I appreciate that, Sheriff. I've enjoyed. It's been a great career. Even if it's another year, we're predicting we may revert July of next year, or it may be July of 23, but whenever it is, it's been a great career, and these gals and gals have been nothing but friends, and I'm very proud to be a part of them.
Right. Well, Sheriff Townsend in Lunenburg County, what do we got going on in Lunenburg County that's important to you, your people?
Well, right now we working on some broadband that's being put down.
Okay.
And it's really exciting for me because it's spread it out to the community.
Right.
And it enhances a lot of things that we couldn't do before. One of the things that was pretty good is that the school system had put out different little units and systems out to do online teaching. Mm-hmm. And so now with this broadband being spread out to some of the area in the county would make it a lot easier for us to do things like that. And my office, we're putting in a lot of broadband up there.
Right.
So it's really enhancing what we do.
Now I got to tell you guys something that's a little known secret. Arthur Townsend and I went to high school together, graduated high school together from Lunenburg County High School. So Arthur and I have been friends since we were kids, and he's been a big help to me. I know he was also the association president, just like all of us have been, and been a help to me. And glad he's doing good things there in Lunenburg County. Arthur, thank you.
Thank you,
Sheriff Millholland, Frederick County. Now, of course, I get the local
Your
papers.
Next door neighbor.
Yeah, I get the local news from you guys. But anything there you want to talk about what's happening in the county?
The biggest thing that's affecting us is our radio system. Mm-hmm. Right now there's an RFP that's out there for almost $20 million worth of a radio system.
Right.
Since I've been in office, there's been approximately 600 times where our people or dispatch has tried to contact our people, and there are no sounds. I mean, it's quiet. Right. They don't hear us. We've called for backup, and nobody's ever heard. Mm-hmm. So we're pushing to try to get a new radio system.
Well, I tell you, we're going through that in Shenandoah County right now.
Right.
And you're right. There are areas in the county that are not reachable through the old repeater system. And they tell me when this thing goes online, which they're telling us at the end of this calendar year, that all of those issues are going to be fixed and taken care of. But you're right. I know what it's like to have staff in remote parts of the county and they don't have radio communication. Right. So it's a big deal.
It's also an issue for our citizens because if they need something and we're there and we can't communicate, we can't help them either.
Right. Exactly. Well, now we're coming out of COVID, and I've I've told people that I think we're coming out of COVID with a vengeance in Shenandoah County, and that one here in Williamsburg, I'm seeing the same thing. Sheriff Draper, as far as COVID, how did that affect your office, or how's it affecting your office coming out of all this? I mean, any comments about that?
Well, we're glad to come out of it for sure, but I think the biggest thing was the jail.
Right.
Where we were very, very fortunate because several of the jails, they got the COVID in their jail and it seemed to spread. We were very aggressive as we brought anybody into the facility, even if it was from another facility. We were very careful to isolate those people if they had any kind of symptoms whatsoever. But we were very fortunate and continue to be fortunate that we did have a breakout in our working. We've got a work farm, right? Work facility, and we did have some people that had gone out to work that they came back twice. We had one come back that was positive. We've got about 38 people, 38 inmates down there, and we had to keep them in for 7 days, of course, and that's probably the biggest thing. But now we're coming out of it, and we're real pleased. Of course, the wearing of the mask, I think, seems to be the biggest thing for everybody.
Right.
They're glad to be able to come out of the mask. If we've in our office building, we're allowing if you've had both of the shots, then you don't have to wear the masks. So, and I think most of our office staff and deputies are happy about that. Just now getting to the point of getting rid of the mask in the jail.
Right.
So it's, but we did, the health department came in and did the immunizations
right
there at the jail. Not as many took advantage of it. It was voluntary, of course, and not as many took advantage. I thought they would the first time. Right. But I think after a lot of them saw that the first one didn't have any trouble, they came back, and it looked like the majority of our inmates did take them.
Well, good. Sheriff Townsend, anything about Lunenburg as far as COVID or coming out of COVID? Or?
Yeah, coming out of COVID, I think I saw the same thing as Sheriff Draper. We come out of it. We had some mass vaccination stations that we did, and that helped a lot. I got a little over 3/4 of my office vaccinated, which helped a lot. Being able to come out of the mask was a big thing. The court systems, we're beginning to get able to do some things that we couldn't do before with the restrictions. So some of that stuff has been lifted, so the courts are back functioning like we need to.
Yeah, right now the dockets are packed. Yeah. Everything's been bottlenecked behind everything. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Sheriff Millholland, any comments about coming out of COVID? Or
I've got 149 personnel that are sworn, and we probably had 70 of them that were affected by COVID.
Wow.
Either asymptomatic or they were quarantined for 14 days from contact.
That puts a strain on you, doesn't it?
It is, because we would have to, take somebody from third shift and pay them overtime, put them on A shift, and vice versa. But we made it through it. Just the other day, we had to sit with a mental patient who was COVID positive, but we didn't know that until about 12 hours into it when they tested him and finally came back and said he was positive. So the people that were there have to be quarantined now.
Exactly.
So, but those are issues, and like everything else, you just have to work through them.
Well, I agree, and I'm just so glad that it seems like we're coming out of this at this point. Now, Sheriff Draper, I know we've had a lot of special sessions with General Assembly this year. We got one coming up, I think, in August. Any comments there about impact on the local level from your perspective? I know from my perspective, a lot of training requirements and things that are because of all the changes in policies and things like that. My board actually approved a accreditation manager. I haven't filled that position at this point, but Those are a couple things that we've had a local impact with.
And I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of the policy, a lot of the training that's going to be required. Mental health seems to be the big thing right now, and that's one of the things that, of course, that I guess our biggest concern is to make sure that we're straight with the changes in the mental health. I guess my concern is the upcoming General Assembly session, where I think we're all concerned about what we're hearing, even across the country, relating to law enforcement. They're talking about the defunding of police. We haven't seen that in Virginia. Hopefully we don't see it. But the change in the criminal justice system, there's a lot of concerns of these upcoming General Assembly sessions. I think it's going to be, we've always said that sheriffs make a big difference by talking to our legislators, but we need to go out in our communities, and our citizens need to help us just as much, if not more, than we do. They need to voice their concerns to the legislators on some of the things that are going to be coming up. But it has been a issue, and I think that the training, I think the mental health issues are the ones that affect me the most.
Right. I tell you, and I just keep, I've had conversations with our executive director and some other sheriffs. It just seems like right now there's not a lot of discussion and vetting of some of the ideas that we're seeing get passed out of Richmond. That's just my personal opinion. There's all these requirements that are coming down on localities, and I don't know, it just seems different than it has been in sessions before. And that, to me, is the biggest, one of the biggest impacts is that we're just trying to adapt to the changes as quickly as we can, but we're not getting much fiscal.
And you're
support,
right. We don't hear it till it's over with.
Right.
Once it's done, then we hear it.
Right.
Instead of us being a part of other discussions as we have been in the past.
I agree with you. Sheriff Townsend, anything from the special sessions that's affecting you guys in Lunenburg?
I think it's pretty much the same effect of all across the state.
Right.
Like Sheriff Draper said, the mental health issues, resources, some of the mandates that are coming down with no funding, things like that affect us all. And just like Sheriff Draper said, and some of the other sheriffs here, we do have to get citizens involved with some of the legislative stuff to help push what we're trying to get our agendas across. And like I said, I appreciate your information today as far as dealing with that mental health issue, that we need to take and make sure that we have a seat in the room.
Right.
Because I think if we ignore things like that, we're going to deal with it one way or the other.
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
Very good program you had.
Thank you. Sheriff Millholland, any comments about special session comments, anything?
What everybody has said about mental health, but also, we have a canine unit and canine program.
Right.
So all of our dogs, will have to be either retired. We just went and purchased 2 new ones the other day to replace 2 that were marijuana trained, because, they know that they alert on marijuana. So now they're not supposed to do that. So, we've had to, it cost almost $20,000 to replace those 2 dogs.
Right. Yeah, I just feel as though if some of these things were being discussed, we might have, I don't know. It just seems to me it's not the same over the last 3 sessions of the General Assembly that it has been in the rest of the time that I've been the sheriff. It's just different, and some of these particulars, like you're talking about, it does have a local impact on people. I mean, the people have
changed.
People have to pay for those things. Somebody has to pull money out to pay for that. If there's some edict or some policy or some statute that comes out of Richmond, somebody has to address that with their pocketbook. Right. So now we're here again at the Virginia Sheriff's Institute Conference, and I know I try to come to the conference each year. I think it's a good way to get up to speed on new legislation and new issues that are coming around law enforcement and affecting our localities and our offices. I know the answer to the question. I've seen you guys at most of these, so I mean, when you come down here, is there any comments you'd like to make on what you get out of the Virginia Sheriff's Institute when you're here and the training and whatnot?
Well, there's no doubt. Mine is what you just said. A lot of the what we pick up, what's going on around the state and what's going on in Richmond. We pick up a lot of information here. Of course, the contacts we make, even with each other, not including the contacts we make with our vendors. I'm a big one that tries to go and thank every vendor that's here, because these vendors are what makes makes it possible for us to hold this conference. And some of the products that come out, they're new products each year. It's just unbelievable. I mean, just like what you're doing right here with podcasts, but some of the things and the technology that's out there, I think every one of us pick up something every year about visiting these vendors, and it's so important to go visit them. But all the classes have been good. The information's been good. Lenny touched on the marijuana. That's another one of the big issues that's facing us, probably just as much as mental health issues, of how that's going to affect law enforcement. But those things, and y'all, we've covered it well. Covered it well this session. So I think a lot of the meetings we hear and the information I pick up is what I take back.
Right. Sheriff Townsend, any comments about the Sheriff's Institute training? Or?
I think it's great. I think it's good for our citizens to know, the ones that donate to the institute and
right.
association, that this is important to donate because of the training that we get from it. All our educational opportunities that's exists here, and it's just a great tool to be able to get all the updates from legal to you name it.
Right, and sheriffs and their staffs come to these trainings, and you're right, we have mandatory training requirements that we have, and this allows us to get some of those training requirements out of the way. I agree. Sheriff Millholland, any comments
just the
about
fact
the
that everybody has said how beneficial it is, and just because something in Martinsville is occurring, it could affect somebody in Fairfax or Frederick County or Shenandoah County. So even the way that they address an issue is something, that just in talking from day to day with, Sheriff Draper, you could learn how he's handling a situation that might not have affected you yet, but next week could.
Right.
And, it's just good camaraderie, and, everybody gets along, and there's 123 sheriffs.
Right.
So, we try to do the best that we can for all our sheriffs.
Yes, sir. Well, guys, those were the questions that I had today. If there's anything I've missed, Sheriff Draper, or anything you want to add, or anything,
the only thing I would like to add is Sheriff Townsend touched on it, and we're talking about the Virginia Sheriff's Institute and the Virginia Sheriff's Association. Both citizens, we depend on a lot of the letters that go out to our citizens about making contributions, and I'm sure every sheriff in the state runs into the same thing I run into. The citizens will contact me and say, "Hey, why is this money going to Richmond? And is it something that's legitimate?" And I just want to tell all the citizens, absolutely, it's essential for us to get training that we need. I usually tell my citizens, 99 cents out of every dollar you give the Institute Association goes back to in one way, indirectly maybe back to our community.
Right.
Under training.
Right.
Under what we just talked about, what the information that comes out of the General Assembly for the fall conference, what we expected to do. So it's a whole lot of information that we take back to our deputies that we wouldn't be able to get if we weren't here.
Right. And anything else, Sheriff Townsend, before we go?
Sheriff, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this, and it's a great thing, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it, Sheriff Millholland.
Sheriff, this is my second time, and
That's all right.
Really enjoy it.
Well, I kid Sheriff Millholland. He's got more views than any of the other sheriffs on the other podcasts. But I think there's some other sheriffs that want to come in here and want to dethrone you from that.
I'm more than happy to let them try.
All right. Well, listen, today again had special guests with me, Sheriff Steve Draper from the city of Martinsville, Sheriff Arthur Townsend from Lunenburg County, and Sheriff Lenny Millholland from Frederick County. Appreciate you guys for coming in today. And if you guys will subscribe to my YouTube channel at Timothy C. Carter, go ahead and smash that like button, and we'll talk to some other sheriffs and talk to you all later here at The Source. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.